So Robert, now we're going to talk about the eye profile.
Yeah, and so it is very interesting to see what's happening with a child when a child, accesses to walking, and so of course before he's already in movement in another way, but when he walks, he really goes everywhere, and is able to explore the world.
It's the beginning of the discovery.
The beginning of the discovery of the world. He's curious of everything, and he's always in movement. And he goes for exploring, touching, experimenting everything. So that's the first thing, that's the curiosity, and also this tendency to take advantage of his new autonomy, to be in contact with the world, surrounding him and around him. So the little child wants to be autonomous. He's fascinated by his new autonomy. He wants to be autonomous, and sometimes he would like to be able to do anything, so to touch anything. So of course, before he was protected, but now he's less protected, so parents are going to pay attention to him so much, because in order to avoid, that he will be in danger somewhere, touching the cooking pans or whatever, putting his fingers in an electrical plug or things like that. So that's the first thing. That's the curiosity and the discovery of the world. And it is interesting because we are going to find, with the adults who are in a predominant eye profile, we are going to find this curiosity, this opening to the world, this sense of discovery for them. And there is something else. In the relationship with the parents, he already found a feeling of security with the affection of the parents, especially the affection of the mother. And now things are going to change. Affection is still as important as before, but attention is going to come on in front of the sea, and he is going to require attention. And for parents, it is very symptomatic that there is two lives when the child is awake and when the child is sleeping. Because when the child is sleeping, they are able to live, let's say, a free life on their side. But when the child is awake, the child is
gathering all the attention.
Gathering all the attention, and he won't tolerate not to have the attention of his parents. And if he doesn't have the attention of his parents, he's doing little nonsense things, or to get the attention of his parents. All parents know that. There is another point also, which is very, very symptomatic of this period. It is, he is in movement, he wants to do things, and he wants to do things at his own rhythm. If all of a sudden the person in charge of him or her wants to change his rhythm, for instance, to speed up his rhythm, because, let's say the mother says to the child, let's go fast because the shops are going to close, let's go, and we only have 5 minutes. It is sure that he is going to show some resistance to protect his own rhythm. That means when you want to speed up with him, he is going to slow down.
Slowing down. Mm.
And sometimes it is even spectacular, because you go towards the door to go out, he goes exactly in the other direction. So like that, first he protects his own rhythm, but also of course the parent is going to get him to come, because otherwise the parent is.
So he has a full attention.
He has full attention. That's and you can see that everywhere in the world at any moment with a child between 1 year and a half, especially 2-year-old and 3-year-old. In the street, you can see that.
So the important thing is being in the middle, getting the full attention of the person you would like to have the attention around you.
Exactly. Yeah. And what is interesting is how, you know, the child is needing the new family of needs. That means a family of attention with listening, availability, and all that, play, humor, and all that. And at the same time, has also the need to have the satisfaction of his former dominant need. That means the need of affection. If you look at a child between 2 and 3 in a public space, you know, for instance, I take the plane very often, so I am in all of airports, and as soon as there is a family with a child of this age, you see the child close to the parents, and all of a sudden, with some pretext, you know, a ball or whatever, or a curiosity for something, the child goes away, and he goes away, and the parents pay attention to him. And after a while, you see the child, maybe at 10, 15 meters from his parents, who is, you know, looking like that. He's looking for his own security. And he comes back like as if he had a car, you know, to fill the tank full of affection. As soon as he's reassured and feels safe, and secure,
going away again.
He goes away again. And he's going to play with that, because after a while, maybe if the father is there, the father is going to run after him, and he's going to transform his autonomy in a play, you know, and try to escape to the father and all that. So you can see that this kind of scene everywhere. So that's for the child. And also there is this mix between a new autonomy which leads to some kind of frustration, because he would like to be able to do everything, but he is not able to do everything. Or he would like to do, what he wants when he wants, and it is not possible, you know, in his education, and because there are times for meals and things like that. And very often he has big anger and sadness, you know, frustration fits, where he cries and he shouts sometimes, and so what is interesting is what is the most effective with a child doing that?
Distraction,
and funny distraction, and all of a sudden he goes from crying to smiling, laughing in 1 sense of seconds.
You're getting a new attention.
Yeah, it's like you know, the program inside the brain is changing completely. And so that's for a child. Okay, now we have to talk, of course, about the adults. And the adults are going to show, of course, everything being different in the context, but the same mechanism, especially about the relationship to the rhythm, management of time, and also the importance of play and humor for the adults who have a predominant high profile. So if we look at the profile, what is going to be the most important for them? The most important for them is to feel the attention of people, or to have the listening and the presence of people, and to feel important for the other person, or for the other person in front of him. It's not to be important in the absolute, like the best of something or the number one, or the, you know, but it is to be important in the relationship with the other one. And dual relationships are so incredibly important for people with dominant high language, you know, because in dual relationship, face-to-face relationship, they get 100% the attention of the other one. They give 100% of the attention of the other one. So they have all panoply, you know, all portfolio of tactics to get that from the other ones. For instance, and all, you know, in general, they have things they do things, they behave in a way to make people react to them, to attract their attention.
And is it, let's say, on both sides? On one side, getting the attention from others,
yeah,
and also doing things which is making you curious and getting your own attention to things.
Yeah, and
so it's in both ways.
Yes, and so we have to see how it is in growth and survival, because it's different. In growth, these people are able to give the full attention to other people, and they have a incredible way of listening to people, very subtle, very fine, and very intuitive at the same time. And we are going to find them in the profession of listening. You know, all the something psychoanalysts,
therapists,
coach, where a lot of a lot of people have this profile as a dominant profile, and so they are very good for that. They are very good also for So we already saw that with a little child. He starts opposing himself, you know, saying no to say yes when he is between 2 and 3. But with adults, it is a little bit different. That they say no to what they see, or they contest, or they contradict, or they enter in opposition. But in fact, it is, or they put things in question or in doubt or something like that. That's the starting point of the reflection process, which is going to lead them somewhere else. And at the same time, they have an associative mind, so they contest what exists, and they have an associated mind. So they have new ideas. So these people are very creative. They are very creative. And if sometimes they get stuck. And it is very interesting when they don't find an idea, you know. You give them a piece of idea, they come with 3 others. So it's like a reaction, you know, like a response to it. Another point where they have immense talents is because they live from stimulation. They are curious of everything. They need to be stimulated all the time.
That's the attention they need for themselves.
Yes, that's the attention they need for themselves, you know, getting interested to so many things. And getting interested in a special way. They are going to look for things which are surprising, you know, a little bit, not the idea mainstream, but the idea which is surprising, making them think about...
Yeah, I'm going to learn Japanese, for example. Yeah, so things like that where people are, why Japanese? Oh, I liked it, yeah.
Yes.
So,
and they do it or not, but they get interested all of a sudden in Japan and Japanese relationship or whatever. And so that's very, very interesting, and they apply that in the relationship to other people. That means they come in the relationship with very often they approach a subject, once again not mainstream, but they come with a door that nobody saw before. And they surprise everybody. Surprising everybody, they make people think in another way. Yeah. So and very often, not only they come with a special entrance in the subject, in the reflection to the subject, but also they come with a larger framework. They need to have a very large framework to get the sense or to put into perspective things.
Which is normally, if you're curious, you want to understand. If you want to understand, you're questioning the things. If you're questioning the things, you are getting a broader view about the things, because you're coming step by step to questions nobody asked themselves before.
And so doing that, not only they give the motivation to people to think in another way, not only they make people think and do things they wouldn't do, you know, without their influence. But also they do it in a, you know, giving at the same time encouragement and freedom to the people to think the way they want. So they are very inspirational as leaders. They are inspirational leaders. So because they open words and they say, go into it. You know, you will see. It will be interesting. There is once again encouragement and freedom are the basis of their management or their leadership. Yeah.
So that means they're also, as they are always jumping over barriers, how do they deal with organization, hierarchy, structures, a framework inside of companies?
Let's say in growth they cope with it, but they are not talented at it. So because it is not their first option.
Do they accept a boss as a boss?
They can accept a boss as a boss, but they are always going to question. So to put a doubt and to question. So that means they cannot leave something, you know, approach something without asking themselves questions. So they make things a little bit more complex than they are very often. But very often they have this way of taking a contradiction or to go into doubts or to say yes but no but, yes but no but. But at the same time it is you think they are in disagreement, but they are not necessarily in disagreement.
They just want to play with the ideas. Yeah.
And that's a way to get interested for them. Yeah. Otherwise, if there is no question, no doubt, they are not interested. It's very boring for them. So, so they know the contradiction in themselves. They know also the tension in themselves. They experience that when we are going to focus a little more on survival. These people very often have so many ideas, so curious about so many things that they can be torn apart by, you know, to what am I going to give the priority? And so they know what it is to be tense. So they are very good to manage tension. So when they are in a context where there is tension, when they are in growth, they know how to, you know, to make the tension, you know, fall down. Cracking a joke, saying something surprising, changing the way people relate and all that. They are very good for that. They are very good for stimulating, you know, making the tension go down, getting people curious and making them think, putting people in movement in general. Movement of thought, movement of action. So they are so good for that, and they have a natural sense of humor. Just because they put everything into perspective, they're always analyzing, you know, approaching things at different level. So, and humor is that you say something at one level and you mean something else at another level of sense. So they do that all the time.
Which can be misunderstood sometimes from others, and because they don't get the link they had in their mind.
People say, "Oh, is he making fun of me or not?" So when they are in survival, they make mistakes like that because they go too far, and they make jokes when it is not appropriate to make jokes. You know, in situations where they are going to shock people. But the way is always to make people react. So in survival, what happens? You know, from what we said a lot of things. They are curious of plenty of things, and they don't have ranking of priority anymore. So they disperse themselves. They don't give the priority to the one which is urgent, and they don't know how to structure to make a planning of the activities. So how do they function? The structure is given either by the association of mind or by the stimulation coming from outside. So it is not sure that it is going to be the rational priority. And very often they don't know how to deliver in due time, and with exactly the quality which is expected. There are problems with that.
I get it. So that means if you have someone who likes the immediate attention of the moment, and who has a mind of wanting to play in the moment, who wants to get attracted by things which are just happening, you always have a problem with priorities. Yeah. Things which are today are more important than things which are maybe more important but tomorrow or the next week.
Yeah, and so they put things so much into perspective that very often they don't see why something urgent is urgent. Why not tomorrow? What is the difference?
So is this a typical behavior of a procrastinator? Who's then just exactly. Mixing priorities all day long?
And they procrastinate. And for them, it gives them this feeling of freedom, which is the main need they have, and freedom and liberty of movement, like that. And of course, the cost is important because for the other people, when they are in survival, they appear like non-reliable people. You cannot count on them because you don't know what they are going to do. What is the fantasy they are going to have in their mind, and which could postpone, the delivery of something which could be urgent and very important for other people. So they have sometimes, when they are really in survival, they have a tendency to lose the sense of their responsibility because they don't measure, they don't evaluate, they don't anticipate. The consequences of delivering or not delivering.
The idea and the play is more important than the result.
Yeah, and they forget, being late or being on time. It is a question it is personal for them, and they have a tendency to be late, but they don't measure what are going to be, what the consequences are going to be for the other one. And maybe for the other one, it was very, very important to be on time, and they don't measure that. So in a way, they sabotage themselves, in the eyes of the other one.
So what to expect if your boss is an high profile as an employee?
What do you expect? You know that you are not going to have a very clear, definite structure, which is going to be a stable structure, because he is not going to keep it.
Every day a new idea.
Every day a new idea, every day a new stimulation. And you have to, very often, you will have several stimulation or several requests at the same time.
And starting projects is more important than finishing them.
People bosses in V language, in I language, excuse me. In I language, they are a little bit like a sinusoid. Sometimes they want to speed up,
push,
and they forget.
Yeah, because then the next idea is coming.
The next idea is coming. Yeah. So very often for the people, not only they have to ask, what is the priority? What do I do first? Because you tell me three things to do at the same time.
So you have to manage your boss regarding priorities.
Yeah, and so.
What if an employee is I?
You are going to first. It's always the key is always to give him attention, listening, availability, enthusiasm, and all that to nurture his needs, and that's a starting point for any language. You have to nurture the needs and to give positive energy. But for the employee, you have to, in a way, use training methods to compensate the incompetence of the person when this person is in survival. That means to give structures where the person is going to build a time frame or to establish priority.
Is there risk?
Just a second, I developed this one. If you sometimes with people in I language, because they don't do things, you don't understand it. You don't understand why they don't do things. Why? when everybody would do, you know, the things you request, you could be tempted to go to more authority and to be a little bit autocratic and to be clear and to put pressure. In fact, it doesn't work. You increase the level of survival of the person, and it doesn't work. So, and if you ask questions, they don't answer your question, or they answer, you know, aside the question, or they tell you that the question is not the right question. So you get even more irritated if you do things which are classical. That means to put pressure, to become a little bit more authoritarian, or to ask questions. What you have to do is you have to let's say, protect the sense of freedom. And to protect the sense of freedom, you have to ask them or to tell them things, you know, with an hypothesis. As soon as you know, we are finished with number one, okay, we can talk about what you wanted to talk with me, and it will be very interesting. But first we finish that. And so you structure the priorities.
It's all about structurizing the things.
Yeah, but you do it with an hypothesis, so they keep the you know, the feeling of being free.
But if I understand it right, so if you are if your employee, if your coworker is an I, you will see pretty often that they're rescoping the task.
Yeah.
They're redefining it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They are making it more complex as it should be.
Yeah.
They are never finishing things because they have new ideas.
If they are survival,
instead finishing, they have a new idea and put it on top, so making the product or whatever the task more complicated.
So you have to come again to protect the priorities.
Yes. That's all about structure.
And to come very often.
Yeah.
You know, if you leave the person with dominant I in complete freedom,
he will be lost.
And a long time, he will go in what he judges is the most interesting, where his motivation leads him.
So, in fact, getting him the attention he needs by shortening the periods of, let's say, milestones or reports or whatever,
exactly.
And being with him in a more regular exchange.
Yeah. Mm. There is another point which is delicate, that, okay, people in I, when they are in, people with a dominant I language, when they are in survival, they have a very bad management of anger. And so they accumulate anger. They don't know how to express anger. You know, and so either after a while they explode, and it could be you know, mixed. They explode, or they you know, behave in a way what we call in psychology passive aggressivity. That means they slow down,
they go in opposition,
they provoke, they contradict. In order to do what? To get the attention, but finally they irritate the person in front of them. And so it is a little bit as if they would pass, you know, the anger from the stomach to the stomach of the other one.
So in fact, I understand the fundamental need is getting attention, positive or negative.
Yeah.
Attention is the food.
Yeah.
Okay, Robert, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.